Alright, so what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to talk to you guys about how to put a hidden sound system in your van. So this van could actually, I'm not doing that in this van because I have several classic cars, and changing from one to the other to me would be a bit of a pain. I may end up doing it in the future, but I'm going to go over this concept of how to do this and have your dash look just like this, and you'll have no head unit radio or anything in the car or any signs of anything or any holes or anything like that. And you can have great sounding sound system. And I'm going to kind of go over the concept of it, and then you can kind of spin it and turn it how you want it. So let me just show you real quick what my system is like. So I've developed this small portable sound system for my van, for my cars, and it's battery operated, so that's where my battery goes in here. I'm changing this out. I'm actually upgrading that to a high performance amplifier. I like minimum. I like the old specs. Today the specs are always max power. This is probably 10 watts minimum RMS per channel at 0.05% distortion. If it doesn't say it listed like that, and it has a fake power rating, so you don't really know what you're getting. So I'm putting in I think it's a 25 watt minimum RMS channel, minimum RMS at 0.05 in here, right? That's coming. I'm putting in here. So it's hard to find specs like that. Usually the specs now are all based on max power, which means absolutely nothing. You could say it's 2000 watt max power means 10 watts per channel of minimum RMS. It could be, that's what it could mean. So you don't really know unless it says those actual specs on it. It has to say minimum too, not just RMS power. RMS power by itself without being minimum RMS doesn't mean anything. So like I have these Alpine separates. I bought these for something else. I could actually put these in there. And I'm going to show you how to put them in the car without having any holes or you may even be able to see the speakers and still get great sound. But generally now I'm buying, I used to build sound systems a long time ago, and I like to buy the separate speakers, not just these in a kit. Alpine usually has pretty good speakers if you were going to buy them. But I'll buy the tweeters separate and the woofers separate, and the crossover, which this one's already got built in. If you can see there's a coil on that speaker. I'll get caps and coils and actually build my own. And it's something that you can investigate for yourself. It really is a better way to get sound if you know about how to do it. Like a coil will actually remove some of what it does is it changes the frequency of the sound going into it, and basically takes some of the mid-range and turns it into a punchier bass. So you could, but you do lose some efficiency by having large coils in your speakers. So there's a whole bunch of things to learn on it. Might be something to look into on other, I may make more videos on this subject. But like this has a coil on it, and what that does is that takes some of the mid-range away and then adds turns it into bass through modifying the frequency going through the sound, or through the wires. So sorry about that. I just saw those speakers sitting there. I thought, well, I could just put that in the video too. So where would you, first of all, you do not need a head unit anymore. There's great options out there. Let me show you what they are. This little tiny thing right here, see how small that is in my hand, actually can take the place of your receiver. So in your VW bus, there's so many great places to hide things. I'm going to show you where I would put one and where I've had one before in my older buses. But again, I had a head unit in that, and I'd mount that under the dash, and now I just don't, there's no reason to have it now. It really isn't. Because if you have a cell phone in your vehicle, and I just put mine right here in this little thing, and my cell phone's right there, or you can put a magnetic mount under your dash and just have a cell phone mount there. I don't like to mount anything on the paint. So, but this actually does everything. This is a Bluetooth receiver, and it has an RCA setup on it. These are available on Amazon. I mean, this is like 14 bucks, real expensive. Okay. So being sarcastic if you can figure that out. And then I have my charging station here for my cell phone that I've actually mounted underneath here. This bus is actually 12 volts, but if it was 6 volts, I could actually put a voltage inverter. They have miniature ones you can get off of eBay to hide that. So to get to take 6 volts and turn it into 12 volts. On my other car that's 6 volts, I'm doing that. So anyway, but I have to use the Bluetooth speaker with it, because you can actually, some of the amps you can actually run on 6 volts, and they will actually work. Just keep that in mind. I'm not going to tell you which ones. It's a crapshoot. You really don't know, because they don't say on them that they work on 6 volts, but they do. So under your seat, in this little compartment here, is probably one of the best places to mount an amp. And there's ways to run the speaker wire from there with only drilling a very small hole and running the wire all underneath the vehicle. So you can actually hide all the wires, maybe put them in a loom and actually keep them completely hidden and not be able to see them basically from anywhere. You can put them in the frame rails. There's all kinds of places to hide them underneath the vehicle. So great place to put your amp. You do need to run a long power wire over to your battery. So you will need to drill a couple of small holes in there, but nothing major. I will not put holes in these door panels ever. So if you're one of those people like me, keep listening. I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay. So you have a million places to put speakers in these. You wouldn't even think of them. But every one of your seats can have wood put on the back of it and become a box. So you could actually put speakers in the front. You can put speakers underneath your seat. So what you would do is make a piece of wood that covers this entire area and mount your speaker so that the cone is facing upward and the magnet is below the seat. So the only way you'd ever be able to see it is get down on your hands and knees and look up under the seat. Right here on the VW bus, you have the back seat, which is great. That's a nice big seat. It makes a great big box. And underneath here, if you have this panel, you could actually cover this whole bottom of the seat with wood. Okay, the whole bottom, so it's sealed. You want it to be sealed because that's going to give you the best sound. And you could put, if you want to put ports or passive radiators, all that stuff is options you can do. I generally don't run those. I like to run high suspension, or I use the real strong soft suspension, high efficiency woofers. You can get really good bass out of those, and they'll be almost in anything. You can put them. You don't need to have a completely sealed box anymore. So you can put your woofers underneath again, magnets facing down, speaker facing upward, and have your subwoofers underneath your seat. And that may even give you some mid-range power, mid-range that you need. Your mid-range speakers are going to be a little more difficult if you want to run mid-range speakers. A lot of the tweeters that you have a decent amount of mid-range, so you can still get a decent amount of sound out of them by having them hidden. And options. You can run your tweeters. There's a lot of places to hide them. You can get a 1-inch tweeter that you can almost put anywhere. I mean, the magnets are on the tweeters. You could put them in the corners right here, not drill anything, and just have it magnetically held right here, or put some hot glue or something like that doesn't, you could actually peel back off of the vinyl. So you could put tweeters here if you wanted to. You could hide tweeters almost anywhere. You can use your imagination for those. I mean, you could put them up here in this panel, hide your wire down through here, run it through the A pillar, and down to underneath the car. You could, trying to think of all the different places. There's so many places you could put tweeters. You could actually, you could put them underneath the dash right here in the corners so that they're kind of hidden. You can actually use them just magnetically held against this here area. So, and then what you do is you use this Bluetooth module, and you might say, well, I don't like to use my cell phone data. Really, honestly, you guys, if you are still using Verizon, you really need to look at some other options. I'm using T-Mobile now, and everybody goes, oh, well, T-Mobile doesn't work. It doesn't work as good. It doesn't have, that is all completely bullshit. Okay. I've been using them for 3 years. It works everywhere. Everywhere. Verizon works pretty much. T-Mobile works. I have not had any problems with reception. Only one place that I couldn't get service for data was in North or South Dakota. So, I bet you anything you wouldn't get service there. I mean, I got service. I had always had cell phone service, but my data, they didn't have a data contract there. But everywhere else I've gone, and I mean, we're talking everywhere. I go all over the United States for business, and I've never had a problem with cell phone reception. If I did, I would have to have a different cell phone company because my business requires me to use data all over the place. So, and thing about T-Mobile is, it was faster than my other. The data is actually faster. So, everybody says their data is faster, but I've actually seen it. It actually works better. So anyway, just some food for thought there. So what you do is you power all your music through your cell phone now. So if you like to listen to the radio, you can listen to radio.com. That's an app on your cell phone you can get, and that has basically all the radio stations in the world. You can listen to a radio station you like in Europe if you want, and it'll have it just locally in the United States if you're, or whatever. Or you can use TuneIn Radio, or there's this, all the different ones. There's a million different apps, and there's new ones coming up all the time. And stream that right through this. Goes in your amplifier. You may need to put a switch somewhere to turn on your amp. Okay. Some of the amps have actually sound sensitivity where they'll actually turn on automatically when they get sound into them. But you got to need to investigate that for yourself, figure out which amp you want to get. But that's this is just an idea that you can use to develop your own sound system and not have any holes or any wires or anything. Basically, if you do it this way, you can hide your wires all over the place. I mean, you can run your wires underneath. You can run them under the mats and not see them. Because you do not have to have wires going from your head unit down to your amp and back up to your head unit and all that crap. You don't have to do that anymore. It'll all be in here. And then this is battery operated, so, and has an on and off switch on it. So all you would need to do is basically have this hanging out somewhere where you can get to it. Unplug it. Charge it up. Charge it up periodically when you're going out. It's not like you're going to use your classic car every day. And plug it back in. Have a little on-off switch somewhere hanging down here that you might just get it hidden, completely hidden. However you want to do it. Just get creative. And then run your system right through that. And that basically gives you everything you have right now. You can't play CDs, but that's kind of outdated. So you can actually put all your music on your phone if you want to do it that way. Or you can actually play radio through radio.com. You can use things like, TuneIn Radio. Whatever you want to use, you can actually use and just run it right through here. So you eliminate that head unit. You just have an amp, and I believe And I haven't investigated this, but some of the amps actually may have this built in. So I was looking at that online, but I haven't been able to verify that yet. So might be something to look into. I looked up Bluetooth amplifier, and there was a lot of them that came up Bluetooth amplifier, and I haven't found out whether they have this in them, because like I said, I'm running a Bluetooth speaker, and that's the way I do it. That actually hangs. The thing that's on the top of that is actually a hook, and it hangs on the seat right here or in the back. And what that does is it hangs on that because the bass that the speaker puts out actually will make the handle vibrate, and it's really irritating. So it does two purposes. It hangs on here and gets rid of that vibration from the bass, and then it hangs on here, and it actually puts it actually makes it so that it won't fall off the seat when you step on the brakes. So it does a lot. That's really pretty cool, and it just kind of hangs there, and it's pretty cool. The other option is for speakers. A lot of you guys are putting antique luggage in your cars, and you could actually put antique luggage in the back with mid-range or tweeters in it. You could put antique luggage with your speakers in it in the back, and fix them similar way where they have a strap that hangs on. You could get creative. If you have a jail bar system, you could use a leather strap and make a nice little looking leather strap that hangs it in place so that it doesn't it doesn't move around back there and fall over while you're driving. Kind of irritating when it falls over and it falls on the speaker and you can't hear it. But you don't really want to bolt them in or something like that. So a few options you can use there. You could use a little piece of Velcro and make a strap to hold them in place. There's a lot of options. You got to use your brain, get a little creative, and I'm just giving you the way to do it, and then you guys just spin off and do your own thing with it. All right, I'll talk to you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.